All right. Welcome everyone back to another edition of the Broker to Broker podcast. My name is Marc Summers, founding president of AIME. Very excited about today's guests. Even in the pre-show, we had a great conversation. Love the outlook that this individual has, and you're going to hear about it today. So let's welcome and help me join Steven Carey, owner of Hightide Mortgage. Steven, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Marc.
No problem. So, Steven, obviously you just went to Fuse. You did a little podcast booth, which is great, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But just so the people that are listening, and just so everyone understands, we have current mortgage brokers listening to this. We have retail listening to this. So I love to get people's background. You've been in over 15 years of sales and leadership. And I want to hear about that. How did you? Tell us your story about how you got to where you're at today.
Sure. So out of college, I worked for AT&T directly, and that it spaled into a variety of different roles, but the majority of that was spent in, regional and national tech sales. And so utilizing all of the sales training and corporate sales funnels and managing pipelines, et cetera, et cetera. Along that journey, there's a gentleman who worked for one of our local community banks, reached out to me. We just became friends in the town. And he offered me a sales position, but it was selling mortgages instead. And he wanted to get a little bit cutting edge with this bank who had traditionally been doing things old school with pen and paper, client relationships, but they weren't really doing any outbound sales activity or sales funnels, follow-up, prospecting, et cetera. And so he wanted to bring kind of a modern edge. And so he offered me an opportunity, and I took it. I worked for that bank for a little over a year, and then I started my own mortgage brokerage with my partner, Kyle Albert. And here we are ever since. We've got like 12, 15 loan officers. We're in a few different states, and we're rapidly trying to grow and expand.
Okay. So you did, so in essence, you did the retail side for a little bit. What was there like an aha moment, or like, wait a minute, I need to get on the broker side of things? Like what made you make that decision?
So I worked for a bank, right? And we had a small credit committee, and I knew all of them on a first name basis. And the reality was we kind of took the loans that we wanted in-house and funded on our own money, and then we brokered the stuff we did it. And I found that I really enjoyed the broker side because it was more quantitative, meaning if the answer was yes, the rules are black and white, the answer is yes, there is no if, ands, or buts. When you're dealing with credit committees, there's a variety of other factors and emotions that can come into play. And I didn't feel like that was the best structure for me to succeed because, this job is pretty straightforward. All of the rules are public. They're on the internet. My job is just to have a good conversation with the client, make sure they fit those rules. And so by having that structure and that setup, I can confidently pre-approve all of my clients and know that it's going to stick.
No, absolutely. What are some of the tools when you worked for that bank? And I know you brokered some of those loans, but what were maybe some of the tools or lessons you learned from that are helping you be successful right now at Hightide?
The bank, the main takeaway that I learned from the bank is leveraging the overall relationship as a whole, because that's where their area thrived, right? And so banks can have one client and have 5, 6, 7 different services based off of that client and add value in different areas. And they might not be the best mortgage. They might not be the best this, but since they're a one-stop shop for everything and they've built this level of trust, it kind of overflowed. And in addition to that, the way that the bank took care of their clients, because each relationship was 7 accounts, right? 5 accounts for whatever it may be, they really went above and beyond. And so the main thing that I took away from that bank was the level of service. And we try to bring that higher than the level of just a transactional broker.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So for people that are listening out there, because I know there's some people that are looking to even make the jump to broker ownership, or people that are looking to make the jump from retail to broker, like what's one piece of advice you would give them if they want to take that journey?
It's kind of transitions into a topic that I wanted to talk about because it resonated with me. But if you when you close your eyes and you have the vision, just take the first step. Only just take the first step. We think this is what we do. This is who we are. The reality is you're just a sum of all of your small actions. Start taking the first step. And if you start taking different actions, you will eventually be a different person. And so my advice would be, if you feel like you aren't achieving your maximum potential, and when you close your eyes, you don't feel that it's a result of you not doing all that you can do, then take the matters into your own hands. And by doing so, you'll be surprised if you close your eyes and wake up in 2 years of where you're at.
No, that's phenomenal. So one thing that we talked about before was like the future of the broker industry, right? I think you have a unique yet realistic approach to the future of our industry. Where do you see that going? And like one of the things we talked about before, and I want you to expand on it, is like if you don't adapt to what's going on in our industry, if you don't adapt what's kind of going on in our world, you're going to be left behind.
Yeah, I think, being a really good technician or being really good at loans used to be the only skill that was required to succeed, right? It used to be the only skill that was required for you to develop a reputation over time by doing a good job long enough in your neighborhood. I think there's the added layer of technology that's coming into play that's going to shrink the gap on difference between bad and good loan officers from just a technical perspective, because it's going to automate and fill in a lot of the gaps and make it foolproof for you. And you're no longer just going to be a technician. You're going to be like a solution provider. You're going to be someone who is an overall coach. You're going to be a coach to your clients, a coach to your community. Doing the loan, they'll be able to do it from their phone in 10 minutes with any of the big box lenders in probably 5 years with the help of AI automating them through it. And then the value that you provide as the technician is nil at that point. The value is, am I going to help put you in positions to succeed? Can I answer questions on what does the 5-year, 10-year, 2-year plan look like for you? What does right look like? Can I help you navigate tough times and rebuild your credit and put you in a position to succeed? Am I providing like those intrinsic values to both my referral partners and my consumers in a level that makes them want to call me because they know I'm in their corner? And if that is not the case, and you're not dominating your local market strictly by being the go-to person for information or someone that people know is in their corner, then they really don't have a need for you in the future, because I will probably be in your market with some form of AI solution in 5 years. Right. And so if you're not doing that now, that's the reality.
No, that it is a reality. And I know I'm becoming a bigger believer in AI every day. You know what I mean? I don't want to say I was hesitant to use it, but it just wasn't who I was. I'm using it more and more every single day. How do you use AI in your current business? Because we keep throwing around this word here, AI. You know, you got to adapt to AI. But I want to take it a step further, and hopefully we can do this with this conversation. Is how are you using AI in your business? Like, what if you were talking to someone who's kind of hesitant on it, what would be like maybe one of the first things you do, or and then how do you continue to build on that?
So me personally, right, like I am working on AI in a limited scale to actually like help run my business, right, to take it to another level, but that's not implemented currently. The way that I'm currently using AI is more for like, you ever have like a really good circle? You used to have a really good circle of friends around you, like a bunch of really good people to have conversations and talk to get good advice, or else your friends who haven't been where you're trying to go might not understand necessarily the advice that you need in that moment. I use AI for that a ton. Hey, I am interested in doing this, 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 and this. This is where I'm at currently. Please list out the optimal steps necessary for me to achieve this goal, and then just execute the plan. And just execute the plan. And it's not been letting me down. Hey, I'm having a challenge communicating this situation to this person. What is the most optimal method of communication to both keep the relationship thriving while delivering the tough information? And it answers the question for you, right? And just asking it things to help coordinate you and help you be a better professional is what I'm currently utilizing it for.
Yeah, no, and my advice and all that is use it for simple things to start out. Number one would be type out your email the way you would want, copy paste it, put it in AI and say, make it better or make it more
Right.
professional, make it, I mean, like, and then the next thing I don't think people, because we do have a lot of people in our industry that have been in the business for over 20 years. They've been through the highs, the lows, the GFEs, the LEs, the CDs, all that good stuff. What I try to tell them is you can literally talk to AI. You can literally talk to it any way you want, whether it's presentations, whether it's emails. If like that example that we use, if I copy and paste an email, I can go in and say, I like what you're doing here, but please focus more on this. And it does it.
Right.
It's amazing.
Right. The stuff that I'm working on and the stuff that will be the future in a couple of years will be next level. Like, I mean, we're going to be living with little mini Jarvises, right? I'm going to be like, hey, an application came in, please review it. Tell me if they're approved, provide a loan estimate to me, and it's going to tell me, and I'm going to manually sign off on it, right? I don't think that's too far away.
No, I don't think it is either, and the other confusion, and I want to know how you differentiate this as well, is, there's articles out there saying AI is going to take over our industry and a lot of industries. I don't think it is. I still think you need that personal touch. So how do you use that personal touch that Steven gives to his clients?
You use AI to automate all the stuff that you used to have to do on the back end so that you can be more personal touch. Like, regardless of if AI helps do when I hire loan officers and train them, like, this is a two-part job. Okay. They're equally as important. One is not more important than the other. It is, can you do the job at a high level, and can you get business? You can't do the job if you can't get business. So not only is this a relationship and marketing role on top of the technician aspect, but the goal is to help, kind of automate that technician role so that we can be more front and center and develop and build more meaningful relationships.
How do you use AI for marketing at all?
Not currently, but it's in the works. Like, it's not too far away to where it's going to go through your past database and automatically run rates on what they could currently get based on, kind of based on their prior scenario, and pre-send out text and emails weekly, monthly, daily as rates change pretty quickly. And then if they say yes, it's just going to build the loan application for me and I'll process the file. Like, I think that's the future.
Jeez. I think it is the future. I mean, our business is still going to be relationship building. It's going to be your circle. It's going to be marketing. I think it's definitely a thing of the past of buying leads. I know a lot of people still do it, but I just know, with being in the business for over 20 years, that if you can create that circle and referrals, it's the best way to do business.
Yeah, I mean, everybody who just started, when I first started, I became a loan officer 3.5 years ago. When I first started, I bought leads, but I was
Mhm.
intentional. Was one, I needed to make money, and two, I bought leads and I gave them away. Right? Like, I gave pre-approved clients to realtors. And the reason is because, like, I knew I could do a good job at loans, but you got to show people. And so the old school approach was just do a good job to enough people long enough, and then eventually everybody will know. But if you want to buy leads and you have pre-approved clients to give, you give people a chance to show your work. And if you do a good job on that transaction, hypothetically, you have two shot at two new realtors, buy and a sell side. Quit that
Absolutely,
because it just
absolutely.
doesn't.
Gotcha. So, okay, so you use AI, which is phenomenal, and I highly suggest everyone use it within reason, certain aspects. But now we have the client in front of us. What is your approach when you sit down with a client? I know a lot of people, like, we have sales calls and stuff like that, and phenomenal. It's a good way to kind of interact differently with the client. I know you kind of take a little bit of the same approach, but yet different. What's your approach with the client the first time you sit down with them, that first phone conversation?
So I have like 15 years of like corporate sales training. Okay. And went through a million different programs. And the one that I actually use and still stick with because I believe and it fits my model is like the SOX training, which is the science of consultative selling. And so rather than be a
Okay.
seller, you're a consultant. And my personal approach is I ask enough questions to understand the current profile, the current scenario, and then I understand their goals, what their goal wants to be in 1, 3, 5 years. And then I help position 2 to 3 different scenarios for them that help them accomplish their goals. And I explain the variances between them. Meaning, if you buy this house, but you want it to be a stepping stone to this one, here's the scenario. Here's the alternative. Here's what 5% down looks like, 10%, 20%. Here's pros and cons, tax ramificate, like a variety of different options to help give them an overall consultation to hopefully help that family accomplish their goals and end up where they want to be in the desired time frame.
See, I'm glad you said that, because I feel like a lot of us, and it's more of that old school style. It's like, here's my rate. This is what I can do. I am cheaper than them. I give you better service, right? But I think once you educate your borrower on, this is the approach you can take. You have a lot of different approaches here, and some people don't. I understand that, but if you can describe that to them, I mean, that's a client for life. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, and I have probably 30% of my realtor partner referral base either has some form of in-house lender, is a part of a Zillow Flex team, is a builder that has an in-house lender, and then those deals don't always work out for a variety of different reasons. When they don't work out, they end up on my desk. I'm the backup for that slew of referral sources, right? And having that conversation compared to the first conversation that they had, which was typically a transactional place because they are force-fed the leads or the deals from whatever that referral source is tied to money, is night and day, and it usually earns me a client for life. As a result, just because they immediately get to see the direct comparison of what's your name, what's your date of birth, what's your social security number, how much money do you make? Okay, here's your house. Versus, all right, talk to me. What are we trying to accomplish? What are your goals? All right, my job is 2 parts. 1, get you the loan. That's non-negotiable. 2, make it as painless as possible. Let's get to work.
Very simplistic, and I love that. I'm a very, very, very simple person. One thing that we talked about before we started recording this was, data. For the longest time, we've always said that these lenders have all of this data that we don't have. We have it, okay? We have it. So tell me, like, what's some data that you use, and how do you use it, to take, I don't want to say take advantage of your clients, but use it advantageously for your clients?
Sure. So it used to be like, and this is a pro broker moment, I'm super pro broker, but like our market share is climbing rapidly on the broker side, right? From 15% to 20% to 30%. And like, we'll be doing more loans than retail and banking in the next 1 to 2 years at this rate, to be honest.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right about that. I really am, because that was like kind of
the main difference was we didn't have the software stack. We didn't have the marketing teams. We didn't have the data. The refinance pool, right? It used to be we would just fly blind or off your own past client base, while national companies would buy a list of data, send mailers, send automated emails, start dropping little hints. And then over time, those hints build, and then they get your refinance. We have those tools now. There's third-party software. I use it for marketing for one. When I'm going after realtors, I'll go on Redder, right? Which Redder, I believe, is the name partner.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big blue. Like, I can look up any loan officer and then look up their list of business and what rates were associated with those clients. And so specifically when I'm targeting retail lenders teams, and especially when you have realtors who have this will to do right, and they're like, I want to give my client the best possible terms, I can present them with public data that shows the lender that they're sending them to is doing every client that you send there is doing a huge disservice, because they're getting 0.75 to 1% higher than what they could be getting just because that company's infrastructure is set up differently. And that's how I use that data.
Okay.
Right now.
That's perfect. So is Redder kind of like your main source of data, or are you using like Totality, or using any of that stuff?
No, right now I'm mainly operating off of Redder and then my own past client list, my own database.
Really, that's all you need to be successful. Let's just be honest here. I think if you take it to the next level, there's so much available. This is a pitch, but it's not a pitch. Like, we have tons of vendors on our AIME network. You know what I mean? You can go in there. There's so much data out there, and it can get overwhelming. But once you kind of get into your path of this is how I'm going to use this data, you're kind of unstoppable. Because right. if you give me a competition down the street at the Chase Bank, like, I'm going to crush them every single time. Right. It's that simple, but it's kind of getting in front of it.
Imagine when I can tell my AI bot to go into Redder and I want to pull everybody who's got a 7.5 that was done by this same lender over the past 3 years and build me a list. And then I'm calling every single one of them saying, you got your refi, you purchased your house through local JoJo lender. You got a 7.5. I can do significantly better than that right now. Here's why, here's how. Or I could have AI make the phone call for me eventually, and it's the exact same sales pitch and the exact same proposal to every client. You're going to save them 1.5% or et cetera, and just target. Like, there's a variety of options in the future at grand scale that are going to make a lot of people a lot of money that I want to be. I kind of trying to. We're behind, but I want to start to kind of get in that race at least.
Yeah, no, and I'm glad you're doing this, and I know you're pro broker, you're pro AIME, and you're going to share a lot of this information, because some of our, we'll call them industry leaders, that are broker owners, whatever, they're doing the same thing you're doing, and I love just having that buffet of this is what we did, this is how we did it, and I know you're going to share, which is phenomenal. But one thing you said before was that you're very pro broker, and I absolutely love that. You know me, I'm all about broker channel all day long. I've always been in the broker channel. When you're talking to clients, do you use the broker channel to your advantage? And if so, how do you do it?
I do, only if it is brought up. Only if it is brought up. But it's not something like I'm not trying to use the broker channel to differentiate myself, because the reality is I don't care where you get your loan, all the money's going to the same place. It's just what process do you go through to get the money there? Like, that's the game. FHA, VA, Fannie, Freddie, like, doesn't matter, non-QM, private investor. Like, whether you get your loan from me, Chase Bank, et cetera, except for maybe 5 to 10% of the loans in the country are held, right? Whether internal, small banks, they're all going to the same place. It's just by which process does that money get there? And if someone does inquire broker, I do use it to my advantage. And I say, I run a company that typically operates leaner than most of the other companies, such as a retail. And when you run a retail, your loan officer might not know that much about loans. Your loan officer is a salesperson who dumps it off to a processing team, who has 15 processors that may or may not communicate, which gets dumped off to the closing team, which may not communicate, and gaps happen. And you hear from your loan officer or your loan officer's assistant once or twice a month along the way. When that's done, you get dumped into a marketing team. Those teams aren't free. When you deal with the broker side, you get me. I live here. I'm accountable for your loan from end to end. And as a result, I'm typically running leaner than them. Therefore, my margins are smaller. Therefore, your rates are better. And if I have to leverage it, that is in the tone in which I leverage it.
Love it. Absolutely. Absolutely love that. You were just at AIME Fuse. As we're recording this, we just got off Fuse. It was phenomenal event, and I'm going to want to get your take on that. But one of the things you said, and I know we all know you're very, very pro broker, but you want to get involved a little more. So you did the AIME Fuse booth. I mean, that's basically how we met. You know what I mean? And how do you plan on getting more involved? And what's a piece of advice that you would give to someone that wants to get more involved? Whether it's AIME, the broker channel, it doesn't matter, because we're all pushing the same message.
It's kind of a work in progress, to be honest. Like, part of the reason I'm so pro on taking that first step is, if I opened my eyes 3 years ago before I started this company, like, there's no shot I thought I'd be where I am right now. Like, you think that you're in this box and you are this, but you don't have to be. Like, you can, like, life is like, if you want something, there's always a way to find out. AI is a pretty good answer, but if you follow these steps, you will achieve it. If you follow these steps, you will accomplish it. And the reason I'm so pro broker is, I think there's a million different ways to do this job, and there's a lot of loans to go around. And I think there's a lot of people who aren't provided. Like, when you work for a big company, you read off the script. Like, you're not getting personalized service. Everybody's getting the same thing, or they're getting in trouble if they're giving you personalized service in most cases. And so there are a lot of people who have skills and know-how, and they could make a nice living for themselves. They're just not in a position so that they can be themselves and provide the value that they provide to their community. And I think this is like one of the most lucrative jobs that you can have, with relatively easy barrier to entry, that allows you the ability to organically make tons of money, like tons of money. And so I'm pushing more people to do it. As far as like how I'm going to get involved, I want to scale my company, right? Like we haven't done, I've just head down work. We're there, we're ready to scale. And so by scaling, I've now set up my systems in a way with assistants, processors, AI, CRMs, right? To where I can be more out in front. So like, I joined the board of directors for my local town. I'm going to get involved with AIME. I'm going to give to AIME and give to everybody. And then eventually, by doing that, it always comes back to you. That's just the way the world works. But that's my philosophy of do things the right way. So get out there, ask for nothing, give everything. And then by doing that, magically stuff just comes back to you.
Wow, Dax is our producer on the show. Dax, you got to clip that comment right there. That was absolutely amazing. I mean, and that's what everyone needs to hear. Like, you know, in the position that I'm in with AIME, I tell everyone two things. One, I love the community. You know what I mean? It's my most favorite thing about it. But number two, I love helping people. You know, it's literally one of my most favorite things to do. I get more out of that than just closing a loan and making X amount of money. I truly do. It's kind of what the root of all of us are. And, you know, and I'm glad that you're pushing this forward. You know, kind of going back to Fuse here real fast. So that you were at Fuse, what did you think of Fuse?
The Fuse was awesome. I thought the venue was amazing. You know, I got my steps in. Let's just say that to the least, right? Like, you could get lost. I thought the venue was amazing. And I thought it was really great. I wish they would have So like all of the brokers who got a chance to speak who were not main speakers, they buried it at like 6 to 9 in the morning. I would have rather that in the evening, just because I think you would have had more attendance in those regards. But outside of that, I thought the venue was great. I thought a lot of the sponsors, a lot of the vendors were awesome. Everybody was having a good time. And you kind of get to know, like when you go to these events, you're starting to see the same booths pop up, right? And more important to me than a lot of those solutions and services that are offered is some of those relationships that come from that. And you're trying to grow, like this is still a relationship business, no matter what tech or no matter what comes into the world. And I'm trying to keep that perspective. And so I'm not there to really inquire about products and services. I'm there to build meaningful relationships.
Yeah, Fuse is what you make out of it. You know, some people need those booths to help them grow their business. Some people are just creating their network, which is absolutely fine. And going back to your breakout sessions, and we love the feedback. We absolutely love the feedback. We know we're not perfect. We're not going to do it perfect. We do the team did an amazing job, and they do the best that they can. Yeah, the number one complaint that I would say I got is that they weren't able to hit all of those breakout sessions. You know, they had to kind of pick and choose, but that it's okay. And the good thing about it is any of those speakers in those breakout sessions, if you emailed them right now, they would tell you everything they said in it. And that's the beautiful thing about this community. Who was your favorite speaker?
Barbara Corcoran. I was so
She was
surprised.
awesome.
I was so surprised to hear her speak. And just the tone and the manner in which she like carries herself in, because when you're on TV, you don't carry yourself as who you are. And it was very refreshing. And then she also, well, one thing that she said resonated with me, and it kind of goes back, but like you hear these cliches, and most cliches just go out your ear, right? They go out my ear, I should say. I hear a cliche, it means absolutely nothing to me. Like football terms, first guy in, last guy, all that stuff. The fake it till you make it thing, giant cliche to me too. Thought nothing of it. But when you start hearing people who've done it say, no, just start doing these actions. Shut up right now. Stop saying you can't do this. Stop saying this is what you should do. Stop feeling like you don't belong or you're an imposter. Start doing these actions. Start doing them every day, and then open your eyes in 6 months and you'll be surprised where you're at. And she said she faked it till she made it.
She was awesome. I had the privilege of meeting her backstage, and I'm going to brag a little bit here. She said I had the most beautiful eyes she's ever seen. I'm just saying that out there. Okay. It was true, but no, she was absolutely phenomenal. Just the way she spoke and just, I think what she did the best was instill confidence into a lot of people. You know, I think a lot of people there, they come off as confident, but they're not, or they're just not confident at all. And, you know, someone like her, she instilled so much confidence. She was literally one of my favorites.
I think when someone who's already made it tells you their story and it's not so different from yours or the other people's, and you see how far they've came, it gives you a little bit of drive. Like she used an old relationship to fuel her. And like that was the fuel for her to build $100 million company, because someone told her that she couldn't accomplish what she wanted to accomplish. And there's a lot of people out there in the world who have that same fuel and that same driver that eats at them. She turned it into $100 million.
Right. Yeah. She's an amazing person. All right. I got one more question for you, Steven, and then I'll let you go scale your business. Let's say you were a main speaker at Fuse and you're sitting up there in front of the hundreds, thousands of people that were there. We had a great show out. What's one piece of advice that you would give to the broker community as we lead into the new year and kind of leading into, I always say this, our industry is new every year. You've got to learn something. There's a change happening. What's one piece of advice that you would give to the broker community?
Don't waste your life and be intentional. Like there's so many years that I would sit down and I would just do actions on what popped in my head. And then at the end of the year, I'd reevaluate which one of the things that I accomplished. And it was not all of them. Then I find that when I take this fourth quarter and I really goal plan for 2026 and I set realistic goals and that are attainable, and I set like measurable standards and actually start working towards those goals. If you measure, your success and the things that are important to you, if you keep score, I think you would be surprised at what you're capable of if you just maintain a consistent, the goal stays the same goal for the whole year. It doesn't change. It doesn't bounce around. There are external factors that are in play. There are other side quests, side missions you accomplish. But if you can keep one goal for a whole year, I think you would be very, very, very surprised at what you're capable of and how attainable that actually is.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Steven, hey man, it was really nice meeting you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for putting yourself out there. We always welcome new guests. There's so many wonderful people in our industry that I think sometimes are shy or don't know how to get involved or 10 other different reasons, but we want people like you on this show, spreading the word, telling us your story and telling us how you're going to become successful. And we absolutely love that. And I just want to thank you for joining us today.
Thank you guys for having me.
No problem. All right, brokers, if you want to catch up on all of our past podcast episodes, please head over to aimgroup.com/broker to broker. You can also listen to and watch all of our AIME Network podcast episodes on YouTube, Apple, Spotify. If you're on YouTube, our handle is @AIME National for more great wholesale content. Everyone, please rate our podcast, leave a review, download it, whatever it is that you do on those. It helps us spread the word that brokers are best. Steven, you're one of them, and thanks for your time again today, bud.
Thank you for having me.